I am furious. I love Halo and would have loved a good TV series based off of this franchise, which happens to be one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. There's so many games and novels they could have taken lore from and presented us with a good product. But of course, as soon as it was announced, I had a bad feeling about it because so many good video game series and anime have been taken and killed when turned into live actions. And we heard some more worrying information about it, yet I was still willing to give it a chance. But this, to me, is the worst news that we could have gotten because they are changing Master Chief and he isn't even the main focus of the show. I have a bunch of things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So this is a Bounding into Comics article. It says Halo TV series to completely change Master Chief's character, focus on Quan Ah for human perspective. Of course, they just had to do this. They just had to change Master Chief's character and not even make him the focus of his own show. It says, hot off the heels of the controversial announcement that the series protagonist will be unmasked for his upcoming Paramount Plus debut, the Halo TV series has revealed that not only will their version of Master Chief be a near completely different version of the iconic character, but that heavily advertised teenage female lead Quan Ah will be a focus of this series as she provides a human perspective on the story. Now, obviously with this, I don't expect Master Chief to be the one and only character of this series. I expect there to be other lead characters to go along with him, but he should be the focus. He should be the center of this story. I understand that they want to have this other character for human perspective, but when they're basically taking the spotlight off of Master Chief, which is the only reason why people are watching this, it's really disappointing to hear. These details regarding the upcoming live-action adaptation of the Bungie-created sci-fi FPS franchise were touched upon by the Paramount Plus 343 Industries head of Halo Transmedia, who also serves as an executive producer on the series, showrunner Steve Kane, and the Master Chief actor during an interview given to Den of Geek. Now, we have heard a lot of worrying information about this series already, and I'm still going to try to watch it to review it, but as a fan of Halo, I'm very worried at this point. A lot of the details have frankly turned me off from the series. Hearing that they're race swapping the Keyes family is really disappointing. Hearing that they're having Master Chief take his helmet off during this series is very disappointing. If they did that maybe in a season 2 or a season 3, I'd understand, but doing that in the first season of this show definitely isn't something that I personally, as a Halo fan, would want. He's never taken his helmet off before. I feel like you need a lot of time to build up to that, and I'm worried that they're going to pull a Book of Boba Fett or a Mandalorian where they take the helmet off too much and the helmet basically means nothing. I don't know, maybe it will turn out really well, I just have a bad feeling about it. At the onset of the interview, Wolfkill explained to Krause that the team had decided to set Halo in a new Silver timeline, similar in concept to the Kelvin timeline, in order to allow them the opportunity to make changes to the franchise's original continuity and lore, and this is a giant red flag. Because to me, that sounds like they didn't want to have to look at all the source material and actually follow it. They didn't want to put the work and effort into retelling the original story. So they decided, we're going to make this new timeline so we can switch around some of the lore so we don't have to follow everything so closely, which isn't what Halo fans want. You are not going to get a Halo fan to watch this and like this idea. I understand that maybe they want to make a couple of changes that could make sense and could be good, but ultimately that doesn't matter because it's not the original story, it's not the original lore. I don't like that, and a lot of people are going to be furious at this. It says, from the very beginning, it was clear that in order to let the story evolve and grow the way it needed to, in order to really go deeply into these characters' arcs, we would need to make some changes. Why do you need to make changes if the story is already there? You are the people who cannot create your own stories and own franchises. That's why you have to take things like Halo and turn them into live actions, because you do not have a creative bone in your body to create something new. So why don't you just follow the story, follow the lore, follow the continuity, don't make changes? It's really not that hard. At the end of the day, it all comes down to being able to make moment-to-moment decisions. Every day there were decisions to be made about, do we really do something exactly as it was done in the game, or are there good reasons to do it differently? According to Krauss, one such example of a major change made to the series lore is that the historic fall of Reach, the Covenant attack that wiped out most of humanity's Spartan soldiers, at least until 343 Industries got to work on the series, and left the Master Chief as one of the last, if not only surviving result of Earth's super soldiers' ambitions. In the games, this event happens prior to humanity's discovery of the first Halo ring. However, in the series, the fall of Reach has yet occurred, most likely as a way to allow the production to feature more Spartans. I like the idea of there being more Spartans, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I just want them to follow the material that already exists. I don't want to watch a Halo show that's not about the Halo games, that might have one character here and one character there that's the same, a general storyline, but then all of the details are different. I'm someone who can pick apart the Halo games and the Halo show and say these things are very different, and I am going to do that in my head, and that's why I feel like I'm not going to enjoy this at all now, because I'm so disappointed to hear that they're making these major changes. It says the discussion then turned to the topic of the series' principal cast, but more specifically, it turned to Yerenhaz Kwana, an original series character whose juxtaposition of her hatred of the Spartans against the necessity of fighting alongside the Master Chief will serve as one of Halo's main narrative focuses. She has an animosity against the Spartans. She begins as our eyes on the Spartans, what we expect them to be. As she learns more about them, her ideas will change, but she stands on her own as a character on the outer planets who feels she's meant for something else. It sounds like they're going for, yeah, Master Chief is kind of still the focus, but this other character is also a focus, and eventually she becomes really important to the story. She is not a character who is in the lore, not a character who's in the story. She's this brand new original series character, and I do not like that. They're making an original series character in a series that already has enough original characters, already has amazing characters that you could use in her place. I still hope that this turns out really well. I still, for some reason, want this show to be good, because I don't want them to take Halo and absolutely fuck it up the way that I think they're going to. But we have heard so much disappointing news, from story choices and leaving characters out to race swapping characters. But this is the worst news that we could have got. A Halo show not focused on Master Chief is bad, but when we get Master Chief and we're getting this completely different version of this character, that kills any excitement I might have had. There is no way I can watch it and be like, I'm glad it's finally releasing, and as someone who is a major Halo fan, I should be the person getting ready to watch it and watching it the second it releases. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.